Hi guys, welcome back. This is going to be our third week of going over some stretching of the lower extremity. And this week I'm going to add in also a trunk rotation stretch. So like I said, we're going to go over the hip and the trunk rotators. In previous videos, I had mentioned how important it is to go over these stretches every single day. It's probably the most important thing that you can do so that we don't get contractures or limited mobility. So go back, review those previous videos that focused on the hip and the knee if you aren't familiar with those or haven't been able to look at them yet. So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on ankle dorsal and plantar flexion and on inversion and eversion in addition to trunk rotation. Okay, so we're going to start with the ankle group of muscles. So like I said, the four ranges that we're going to stretch today are dorsiflexion, which is bringing the toes to the nose, and plantar flexion, which is bringing the toes away from the nose. And then there's inversion, where the ankle stays stable, but the toes come in. And then there's eversion, which is the opposite way, where the toes go out. So the first one I'm going to do is ankle dorsiflexion, because this is one of the most common muscles to be tight. Bringing the nose to the toes, contractures are very common. I do have to give a side note here. Wearing AFOs does help keep this range of motion and prevent contractures. So that's another reason, even if your child isn't standing, on why it's good to wear AFOs. So what you're going to do is you're going to stabilize you're going to kind of like cup the heel with your hand, and you're going to use your forearm to bring the toes to the nose. And he is actually pretty tight. He does not have a whole lot of range right here. You feel a stretch?
Yes.
So you're gonna hold this for, like I said in the last video, a count of 2 minutes if you're gonna do it one time a day. Or you can do this 3 times a day and hold it for 30 to 45 seconds each time. It is much better to do longer stretch one time a day, as it's a stretch over a longer period of time, which allows more release in the muscle. Actually, I'll show you another way to do that stretch that may be easier. Go ahead and turn to your stomach and come this way a little bit. I'm gonna pull you. There you go. You bend the knee up so the heel is on top of the knee. Stabilize the heel again and press the toes down. And if you see, that takes the hamstring out of the equation, and he has much better range. So this truly just stretches his gastroc muscle instead of bringing the hamstring into it. All right, so let's move on to plantar flexors. Go ahead and turn around, Marshall, again. All right, so scooch back a little bit again, I'm sorry. Okay, so on this one, he has great range on his plantar flexors, but sometimes I do find limited range on our students for the plantar flexors. So if your child doesn't need this, then just overlook it. But if they do, then go ahead and do it. It's just where you stabilize at the ankle and press your toes down. And sometimes this top area right here will be really tight, and you'll see tendons coming out if your child needs to have the stretch. Okay.
It doesn't hurt.
Now I'm going to ask my videographer to come over here and stand on top of me for this next stretch. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is inversion and eversion. This is a little harder because we're going to keep the ankle on top and you work on inverting. And a lot of times this muscle is tight on our students. And everting. So sometimes this is tight. For him, he is much more tight on the inversion. And the inversion is stretching the everter. So it's kind of how it works. So again, holding it for the 2 minutes or following the other plan that I had recommended earlier. Or I had mentioned, I should say, I actually recommend the 2-minute period. And then this is the everter, same thing. All right, so the last one we're gonna do is trunk rotation. And I'm throwing this in there because the ankle stretching is very quick. And a lot of times your students won't need to do all those stretches. So as far as trunk rotation, what you wanna do is you bend your knees up, kind of like up to 90 degree with the back. And then you rotate the knees to the side. Make sure their hands are out of the way. Push it down, but make sure the opposite shoulder is down to the ground. And again, you hold it the 2 minutes if you're able to, 1 time a day, or the 30 to 45 seconds 3 times a day. And then you switch and rotate to the opposite side. And you may find that one side is tighter on your child than what the other side is. So if you notice that, maybe you just need to hold the one side for 1 minute and the opposite side for 2 minutes. There should be really no contraindications for completing any of these. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this, definitely take a look at those previous stretches and try to do those at least 5 times a week. You'll really see an improvement in your children for being able to complete those for longer durations if it's done consistently, as much as you can. All right, it's the last one. Bye.
Bye.